자, 그러면 12월 19일 월요일 모닝 헤드라인스 조지현 뉴스캐스터와 함께 시작합니다.
Heavy snowfall caused flight cancellations, passenger ship suspensions, and a series of road accidents in the southern provinces of Jeju and Jeolla on Sunday.
어제 제주와 호남에 폭설이 내려 항공기와 여객선 운항이 중단되고 교통사고도 잇따랐습니다.
Japan has adopted a new national security strategy that includes plans to develop a counter-strike capability, veering from its pacifist constitution.
일본은 기존의 평화헌법 노선에서 벗어나 자국의 반격 능력 보유 내용이 포함되도록 국가안보전략 문서를 개정했습니다.
In India, dozens of people have reportedly died and multiple others have been left blind after drinking bootleg alcohol.
인도에서 밀주를 마시고 수십 명이 사망하거나 시력을 잃는 참사가 발생한 것으로 알려졌습니다.
A huge cylindrical aquarium housing about 1,500 exotic fish has burst at a hotel in the German capital Berlin, flooding streets and injuring 2 people.
독일 베를린의 한 호텔에서 약 1,500마리의 열대어가 살고 있던 원통형의 초대형 수족관이 터졌습니다. 이 사고로 주변 도로가 물에 휩쓸리고 2명이 다쳤습니다.
Argentina have won the 2022 World Cup after beating France on penalties in what is being described as one of the greatest finals in the tournament's history.
역대급으로 묘사되고 있는 2022 카타르 월드컵 결승전에서 아르헨티나가 승부차기 끝에 프랑스를 꺾고 우승했습니다. And those are our headlines today.
Morning Headline Expressions.
From the headlines today, let's look at the expressions suspension, first of all.
Yes, if you have something that is suspended, it means that it's temporarily canceled or put on hold. It can also mean that something is hanging from the ceiling.
Sure.
But in our case, it meant that heavy snowfall caused passenger ship suspensions, meaning that the ships had been canceled for the operations.
그렇죠. 자, 뭔가 중단이 됐을 때 suspended 쓸 수 있고 학생의 경우에는요. 이러면 안 되겠지만 이제 정학을 당할 때 be suspended라는 표현을 쓸 수 있습니다. 참고로 퇴학을 당하는 건 be expelled.
That's right.
이렇게 표현하죠. 자, 그런 의미가 있고 아니면은 뭔가 천정에서 매달려 있는 것을 이제 묘사할 때 this is a suspended I don't know, lighting fixture or something. 이렇게 suspend 다양하게 쓸 수 있는데 in this case, of course, it means that not flights, but
Ship operations.
Yes, passenger ship operations were suspended. The next expression was veer.
Yes. Veer is to change direction abruptly or suddenly. So Japan has adopted a new national security strategy veering from its pacifist constitution. So previously, Japan had this peaceful constitution in which they thought that any type of war or counter-strike was unjustifiable.
Yeah.
However, they have changed their stance, saying that if a country does anything to provoke their peace, they will strike back.
Exactly. To veer, that means to change course. 방향을 바꾼다. So Japan has veered from its pacifist constitution where it was, mostly peaceful.
Yes.
And it did not constitute striking first, it still doesn't strike first,
Yes.
but it's now saying it will counter-strike if another country strikes first.
Yes.
The next expression is bootleg.
Bootleg is used for illegal. However, any type of product that is illegal in the case of software or in this case, liquor products.
Yeah, exactly. 뭐 불법이나 해적판 얘기할 때 bootleg 쓸 수 있는데요. B-O-O-T-L-E-G, bootleg. 여기서는 밀주, bootleg alcohol을 말하고 있습니다. So in this particular state where so many people have died, you mentioned it was a dry state.
That's right.
So they're not allowed to sell alcohol in this state. And so people have been illegally buying this bootleg alcohol, and now people have ended up dying. Very sad news indeed. The next expression is cylindrical.
Cylindrical, meaning that it is kind of like a cylinder. So a cylinder is something from, when you look at it from the top, it's a circle, but it goes straight down in the same form of a circle all the way down. So it's kind of like a straight circle all the way down to the bottom.
실린더형이다. 예, 원통형이다. 이런 뜻이죠. A cylindrical aquarium that's about 16 meters high, massive aquarium in a hotel in Berlin ended up bursting. Yeah. So all the fish have died. 2 people were injured, and the water just flooded out onto the streets.
1 million liters of water.
Yeah, indeed. The final expression in our sports news was penalties.
Yes, penalties, short for penalty shootouts. Argentina have won the 2022 World Cup after beating France on penalties. So a penalty shootout is when you go after the actual match, and if it ends up in a tie, then you go into the penalties and you shoot towards the goal one by one.
Right.
And that's a penalty shootout.
Exactly. For this particular final match, there was the 90-minute match and then 30 minutes of extra time.
Yes.
And then they went into the penalties.
Yes.
At the end of which, Argentina won.
That's right.
네, 승부차기, penalty shootout라고 합니다. 이렇게 오늘 헤드라인에 나오는 표현들 리뷰해봤어요. 모닝 헤드라인 익스프레션즈는 오디오와 학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣기 하실 수 있습니다. 자, 12월 20일 화요일 모닝 헤드라인스 뉴스캐스터 레이와 함께 시작합니다.
The government has announced it will lower the maximum tax cut for gasoline from 37 to 25% next year, while maintaining the current 37% tax reduction cap on diesel and liquefied petroleum gas.
정부는 내년부터 휘발유를 구매할 때 붙는 유류세의 인하폭을 현재의 37%에서 25%로 축소한다고 발표했습니다. 경유와 LPG 부탄은 현행 제도대로 유류세 37% 인하가 적용됩니다.
Violent demonstrations against the ousting of Pedro Castillo in Peru have left scores dead and injured, prompting the government to declare a nationwide state of emergency.
페루에서 페드로 카스티오 전 대통령의 석방을 요구하는 시위로 수십 명이 사망하고 부상을 입었으며 페루 정부는 비상사태를 선포했습니다.
A new Pentagon office set up to track reports of unidentified flying objects has received several hundred new reports, but so far there has been no evidence of aliens visiting Earth.
미확인 비행물체 UFO를 조사하기 위해 설립된 미국 국방부 산하 기관이 지금까지 수백 건의 UFO 관측 사례를 보고받았지만 외계인이 지구를 방문했다는 근거는 확보하지 못했다고 밝혔습니다.
Twitter users have voted in favor of Elon Musk stepping down as the head of the social media platform after the billionaire ran a poll on his future.
일론 머스크가 자신이 트위터 대표직에서 물러날지 여부를 결정해달라는 온라인 투표를 실시한 결과 투표에 참여한 과반이 사임의 찬성표를 던졌습니다.
German authorities have announced that they have recovered a significant part of the 18th century treasure stolen from Dresden's Green Vault Museum in a spectacular break-in more than 3 years ago.
독일 드레스덴 그린볼트 박물관이 3년 전 도난당했던 18세기 보석 공예품의 상당수를 되찾았다고 전했습니다. And those are our headlines today.
Morning Headline Expressions.
Let's have a look at the expressions from today's headlines. Current라는 표현.
Current means right now. We are currently talking about the headline expressions.
That's
You can use it
right.
as an adverb as well.
Current 여러 의미가 있지만 그 중에서도 오늘은 지금 현재라는 뜻을 봤습니다. The next expression was scores of people.
Scores of people, scores of anything
Yeah.
just means a very large number of it.
그래요. 그러니까 원래 뭐 엄밀히 따지자면은 아까 레이가 뭐 20이라는 의미가 있다고 했지만 그런 거를 이제 딱 따진다기보다는 그냥 많은이라는 의미로 굉장히 많이 씁니다. So a lot of people, scores of people.
Scores of people. So I would look
Yeah.
at it as we mentioned this earlier, more than dozens, less than hundreds.
Okay. So dozens of people in Peru, unfortunately, have been injured or even have been killed
Yeah, right.
in these demonstrations.
And these protests, and the army is
Yeah.
fired at some of them. So
The next expression was UFO, unidentified flying object.
a UFO, right? I think everyone knows what that is. Do you
Yeah.
say the same thing in Korea? I think you say UFO,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we do.
But if something is unidentified, it just means you don't know what it is, right? And obviously, a flying object is something that can fly,
네.
not a bird.
Right. Unidentified라는 것이 이제 미확인이란 뜻이고요. Flying object가 날아다니는 물체, 그래서 비행물체죠. 미확인 비행물체, UFO 봤고요. The next expression was to run a poll.
And this was done on Twitter. You can
Yeah.
run polls on a lot of social media,
Right.
social media accounts. So you just put up a question and let people answer it. Usually it's a yes or no or multiple choice. And the results of this show that the majority of people of the 17.5 million people who voted in this poll want Elon to step down as CEO of Twitter. So we'll have to see.
Right.
There's talk he could
Yeah.
name a successor in the
Maybe.
next 24 hours. But he's still going to be the owner, though. That's one thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. So they voted in favor of him stepping down
Right.
as head or the CEO of Twitter. Although, as you said, that doesn't mean he's not going to own Twitter. He's still own it,
Right,
but
and
he
this-
might not be the CEO.
And as we mentioned, this isn't legally binding, so
Yeah.
he may not do it, or
He might change his mind.
He might just not be able to find anybody to do it. That's what he said. He's like, no one really wants this job, and the people who do want it, he just said something like, the people who want this are the worst people to get it, or something like that.
그렇군요. Run a poll이라는 것 자체는 이제 투표를 실시한다라는 뜻이고요. The results of that poll show that majority of Twitter users want Elon Musk to step down, but we don't know if he will or not. We'll have to wait and see. The final expression is a break-in.
Break-in, when someone illegally enters a place, a building, or it could even be a car. There's break-ins of vehicles as well. Usually the intention is to steal something. You don't normally just break in for fun.
Right, of
Wouldn't
course.
make much sense.
침입하다라는 뜻이 이제 to break in도 있지만 명사 형태로 침입. 이거는 a break in 가운데 하이픈 넣어서 한 단어로 사용하실 수 있습니다. There was a break in at this museum in Germany 3 years ago. And they stole a very valuable set of jewels.
Almost 114 billion euro worth.
Yeah, very expensive. But most of those, a significant part, have been retrieved.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Right. Okay. Well, those were our expressions from the headlines. 모닝 헤드라인 expressions는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣기 하실 수 있습니다. 그러면 12월 21일 수요일 모닝 헤드라인스를 볼 시간인데요. 눈으로 인해서 오늘은 레이가 잠시 후에 오도록 하겠습니다. 제가 먼저 헤드라인스 읽어드리겠습니다. The ruling party has proposed applying the alternative holiday bill to Christmas and Buddha's birthday, allowing the designation of a substitute holiday for the two public holidays when they fall on weekends. 집권 여당인 국민의힘이 현행법상 대체 공휴일 대상에 빠져있는 크리스마스와 석가탄신일을 대체 공휴일 지정 대상에 포함하자고 제안했습니다. Korea has reportedly begun looking into claims that China is running clandestine police units overseas, with the foreign ministry stating the principle that foreign entities in Korea must abide by domestic and international regulations. 중국이 한국 등 해외에 비밀 경찰서를 개설했다는 주장에 대해 우리 정부가 실태 파악에 나섰다는 일부 보도가 나왔습니다. 외교부는 외국 기관의 국내 활동과 관련해서 국내 및 국제 규범에 기초해야 한다는 원론적인 입장을 밝혔습니다. The U.S. House panel probing the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol has referred Donald Trump to the Justice Department to face criminal charges, marking the first time in U.S. history that Congress has taken such action against a former president. 미 하원 특별위원회는 지난해 1월 6일 발생한 미 의사당 폭동 사태를 선동한 혐의로 도널드 트럼프 전 미국 대통령을 기소할 것을 권고했습니다. 미 역사상 미 의회가 전직 대통령에 대해 형사처벌을 권고한 것은 이번이 처음입니다. Days after South Sudan President Salva Kiir Mayardit was caught urinating on himself at a public function, reports have surfaced that the journalist who captured the video has died, while other reporters who witnessed the event have gone missing. 살바 키르 마야르디트 남수단 대통령이 공식 행사장에서 소변 실수하는 모습이 포착된 이후 이를 목격한 남수단 언론인 중 일부는 실종됐고 영상을 촬영한 기자는 숨진 채 발견됐습니다. And a new study has found that whales could be vital to combating climate change by sequestering and storing planet-heating carbon emissions. 기후변화를 막는 데 고래가 중요한 역할을 할 수 있다는 연구 결과가 나왔습니다. 연구진은 고래가 이산화탄소가 대기로 흘러나오지 않게 잡아두는 역할을 한다고 설명했습니다. And those are our headlines today.
Morning Headline Expressions.
Let's have a look at our main expressions from the headlines. To fall on a weekend.
To fall on a weekend means to just be on a weekend.
Yeah.
Right? And we're talking about a particular day. So a lot of the times this is, so you could say for your birthday, for example,
Yeah.
you could say, oh, my birthday falls on a weekend. My birthday falls on a Saturday. So if it's a weekend, it's Saturday or Sunday. But you can use this for any day of the week.
Yeah, definitely.
So you could say, oh, my birthday fell on a Thursday last year, for example.
맞아요. 그래서 제 생일이 작년에는 목요일이었어요. 그러면은 my birthday fell on a Thursday last year. 내년에는 금요일이에요. But next year it's going to fall on a Friday.
Right.
Or it's going to fall on a weekend.
But if someone told you, oh, I fell on the weekend,
Oh, that's
then you
different.
would think, oh, you must have slipped and
그렇죠.
fell.
아, 그러네요. If I or you or if somebody fell on a weekend, 그럴 때는 그냥 넘어졌다는 뜻입니다. 주말에 넘어졌어요. 근데 그런 주어가 아니라 어떤 날에 대한 얘기를 하면 그 날이 요런 요일에 이렇게 겹친다 이런 의미가 되겠죠? And the second expression was clandestine.
Fun word to say. Clandestine, clandestine. Some people
Yeah.
pronounce it like that. Secret. And usually it's
Very
secret. Usually because it's illegal. You're not allowed to do it.
Does it have that connotation?
Yes. Now, you're not all, like some people might,
Okay.
say some people at a company, they might have a clandestine meeting, for example. It's secret, but not illegal. But a lot of the times it's used for like CIA operations and things like that.
아, 그렇군요. 비밀리에 뭔가 할 때. 발음은 이 두 가지가 다 되는군요. clandestine 다 될 것 같고. 자, 그 다음에는요. to probe something.
To probe, to investigate, figure out, look into something very, very carefully. And again, a probe can be a verb or a noun.
Yeah.
And then it's just to investigate as a verb or an investigation as a noun.
네. to investigate, to probe, 캐묻는, 조사하는 것을 probing 한다라고 말합니다. The next expression is a public function.
Public function, public event.
Yes.
Right? So you can interchange public function, public event. And again, a lot of the times, a lot of events can be classified as functions.
Yeah, definitely. A public function, 공식 행사라는 뜻이 되겠고요. And the final expression was vital.
It's a vital word to know because you
It
can
is.
use it a lot.
Yeah. Very
Vital,
important.
Yeah, vital just means, extremely important, very critical. It's absolutely necessary.
It's vital that we have you here, Ray.
Oh, thank you.
Rain or shine.
Yeah, it's more vital that you're here. As you can see, you can find a way around me not being here. But with you not being here, it might be a bit more of a problem.
자, 그래요. Vital, very, very important. 필수적이다라는 뜻입니다. 자, 이렇게 오늘 헤드라인에서 나온 표현들 리뷰해봤고요. 모닝 헤드라인 익스프레션스는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣기 하실 수 있습니다. 12월 22일 목요일 모닝 헤드라인스 뉴스캐스터 레이와 함께 시작합니다.
Bank of Korea Governor Lee Chang-yong has stressed the need to concentrate monetary policies on fighting inflation, citing that consumer price growth is expected to remain above the bank's target inflation of 2% next year.
이창용 한국은행 총재는 내년 소비자 물가 상승률이 은행이 목표로 하는 2%를 웃도는 높은 수준으로 유지될 거라면서 물가 안정에 중점을 둔 통화 정책을 운영할 필요가 있다고 역설했습니다.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has arrived in the U.S. and has held talks with President Joe Biden at the White House in his first foreign trip since Russia invaded his country in February.
블러디미르 젤렌스키 우크라이나 대통령이 미국에 도착해 조 바이든 대통령과 백악관에서 정상회담을 가졌습니다. 지난 2월 러시아 우크라이나 침공 이후 젤렌스키 대통령이 외국을 방문하는 것은 이번이 처음입니다.
The Taliban government has banned women from universities in Afghanistan after already excluding girls from secondary schools, sparking international condemnation and despair among young people in the country.
아프가니스탄의 탈레반 정부가 여자 중고교를 폐쇄한 데 이어 여성의 대학 교육 과정도 금지했습니다. 이에 세계 각국의 비난이 빗발쳤고 아프가니스탄 젊은 층의 좌절감이 심화되고 있습니다.
Peru has declared Mexico's ambassador to Lima persona non grata and ordered him to leave the country, following Mexico's decision to grant asylum to the family of ousted Peruvian President Pedro Castillo.
페루는 탄핵된 페드로 카스티오 전 대통령 가족의 망명 신청을 멕시코가 받아들이자 리마 주재 멕시코 대사를 외교상 기피 인물로 지정하고 추방 명령을 내렸습니다.
The original mechatronic model of E.T. from Steven Spielberg's 1982 sci-fi classic has been sold for a staggering $2.56 million at auction.
공상과학 영화의 고전인 스티븐 스필버그 감독의 1982년작 E.T.에서 주인공 외계인 역할을 했던 기계 모형 원본이 경매에서 무려 256만 달러, 우리 돈으로 약 33억 4천만 원이라는 거금에 낙찰됐습니다. And those are our headlines.
Morning Headline Expressions.
From the headlines today, we looked at the expression to concentrate, which means?
Concentrate means to focus.
Yeah.
So if you say that you're concentrating, you are really focused on something. You're really paying full attention to it. In this case, the Bank of Korea governor said that the BOK needs to concentrate monetary policies on fighting inflation. So when you concentrate something on something else, it means you are focusing on that. So he means all of their monetary policies will be really focused on bringing inflation down.
Yeah, exactly. 그래서 앞으로 통화 정책이 이렇게 inflation, 물가를 잡는 데에 집중을 할 것이다라는 뜻으로 거기에 중점을 두고 concentrate on something 할 것이다라는 표현이 나왔습니다. The next expression was to hold talks.
Have meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're going to
exactly.
hold talks. Usually,
It's quite formal.
I was going to say that. It feels kind of formal.
I don't think you and I would hold talks.
No, we would have a meeting or a
Yes.
chat. It'd be even less formal. We'd have a quick chat about something.
Just have a quick chat.
Right. It's like a quick chat. You can walk up to somebody and say, do you got a second?
Yeah.
Can I have a quick
But
word?
if it's going to be a long thing, then I could say, can we have a discussion maybe about something?
Usually,
Or-
like at companies,
Yeah.
meeting means you have to reserve a meeting room.
Yeah.
You have to send it. the meeting request,
Yeah.
right? So that's even a little bit more formal.
Yeah.
Right? And then holding talks, though, sounds like two companies are holding talks or people in different governments are holding talks.
Exactly. 그래서 여기서 hold talks는 회담을 갖는 겁니다. 굉장히 공식적인 느낌이 있죠. 근데 그런 게 아니라 좀 캐주얼하게 말하고 싶으면 뭐 이럴 수 있을 것 같아요. I think I could maybe say, "Hey Ray, can I have a word?"
Yeah.
A word.
When British people say that, though, it sounds like they're a little bit. You've done something wrong, and they want to. Can I have a word with you?
무섭죠. 네, it's a bit scary.
Yeah, it is.
맞아요. 이거.
But hey, can we have a chat?
Can we have a chat?
That's the nicer one. That's the
그렇군요.
one that I'm like,
그래요.
okay, I probably didn't do anything wrong. But when I was a kid, if my dad said, I want to have a word with you, it's like, what have I done?
그래요. Have a word라는 것은 이제 좀 할 말이 있는데, 그래서 그 뉘앙스가 약간 혼낼 것 같은 느낌이 있어요. 근데 have a chat는 그냥 우리 대화 좀 할까? 뭐 가벼운 느낌입니다. 자, hold talks 이렇게 해서 두루두루 받고 다음은 spark something.
Ooh, spark something. You need a spark to start a fire, right? So we use spark to mean to start something, but usually almost to ignite it, to make this issue much bigger, right? So in this case, what the Taliban has done sparked international condemnation.
Yeah.
So it made everybody say what you're doing is totally wrong.
Yeah, spark something, ignite. 뭔가 촉발하는 거예요. 그래서 불꽃이 이렇게 탁 튀어서 그 다음에 큰 불로 번지는 것 같은 느낌인데요.
It'll even be used sometimes for like conflicts, right? What sparked the fighting?
Definitely. 촉발하다 느낌입니다. 아프가니스탄에서 여성의 이제 중고등학교 교육도 금지한 데 이어서 이제 대학교 교육도 못하게 한다라고 말해서 this sparked condemnation from around the world. 국제적인 비난을 촉발한 비난이 그로 인해서 쏟아졌죠. The next expression is to grant asylum.
Grant asylum. So this is like official status that one country will give a person or people from a different country, meaning they'll let them come there. Instead of going through like visa processes or whatever, they'll give them legal protection. They're allowed to live there. That's what asylum means. You can think of it as protection. They're being protected from death or persecution in their home country. So they're refugees. Something one country grants to refugees of another country.
그래요. asylum이라는 게 망명입니다. 그 다음에 망명을 허가하는 게 grant asylum이고요. 망명 신청할 때는 seek asylum이라고 합니다. 마지막 표현은 oh my goodness, staggering. 이거요.
Right.
네, 깜짝 놀랄 때 쓰는 표현이죠.
It's used a lot with large amounts of money.
너무 큰 금액이에요. 이런 느낌으로.
Right. And it's meant to say that it's shockingly large. That amount of money was really, really big.
그래요. staggering까지 살펴봤습니다. 자, 모닝 헤드라인 익스프레션스는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣기 하실 수 있습니다. 자, 그러면 12월 23일 금요일 모닝 헤드라인스 뉴스캐스터 폴과 함께 시작합니다.
Health authorities have announced plans to downgrade Korea's indoor mask mandate to a recommendation if specific criteria are met. But the mandate will remain in place at high-risk facilities like sanatoriums, hospitals and pharmacies.
방역당국은 일정 기준이 충족될 경우 실내 마스크 착용 의무를 권고로 전환한다는 계획을 밝혔습니다. 다만 감염 위험이 큰 요양시설, 병원, 약국 등에서는 착용 의무가 그대로 유지됩니다.
The World Trade Organization has concluded that the US violated international trade rules when it required that products from Hong Kong be labeled as made in China in 2020.
세계무역기구 WTO는 홍콩에서 만들어진 제품을 중국제로 표기하도록 한 2020년 미국 정부의 조치가 국제무역협정 위반이라고 판정했습니다.
European natural gas prices have dropped to the lowest level in 6 months as near-record LNG imports ease supply concerns and mild weather forecasts reduce demand for gas.
유럽의 천연가스 가격이 지난 6월 이후 최저치로 떨어졌습니다. 이는 LNG가 거의 기록적인 양으로 수입되면서 공급 불안이 해소되고 온화한 겨울 날씨에 가스 수요가 줄어든 덕분으로 보입니다.
NASA's Mars rover Perseverance has deposited the first samples of rock onto the surface of the red planet, beginning the construction of humanity's first sample depot on another planet.
미국 항공우주국 나사의 화성 탐사선 Perseverance가 화성 표면에 첫 암석 시료 기구를 배치했습니다. 이로써 지구 외 다른 행성에 인류 최초의 시료 창고가 만들어지는 셈입니다.
A local government in Belgium has issued a decree restricting the use of accessories known to cause harm to animals, including electric anti-bark collars for dogs and fish aquariums of less than 10 litres.
벨기에 한 지방정부가 개 짖음 방지용 전기 목줄과 10리터 이하 크기의 어항 등 동물에게 해가 될 수 있다고 알려진 도구 사용을 제한하는 법령을 발표했습니다.
Morning headline expressions.
오늘 헤드라인에서 이런 표현 나왔었죠. To downgrade.
Yes, we reduce the grade or the rating of something, whether it be the number of stars a restaurant gets or the conditions in which we should wear a mask.
That's right.
In this case, we're downgrading from mandatory masks indoors to recommendations.
The opposite would be an upgrade, which can be used in many different ways, by the way.
Yes.
And the second expression was to be labeled as something.
Yeah, to call something something or to literally put a label on it to
Yeah.
say made in China or made in Korea or made in Hong Kong.
Yeah, exactly. Be labeled as something. The next expression we looked at was a demand for something.
Yes, a demand for something is a need or a want or an asking for something. In this case, it's a demand for a gas has been reduced because of mild weather in Europe.
And in English, we normally say supply and demand.
Yes.
Not demand and supply.
No, I don't
That-
think you'd
that order.
ever see
Yeah.
it normally in that order. Always
Yeah.
supply and demand.
Supply and demand. 직역을 하면은 수요와 공급이 되겠죠. Demand is 수요. And then depot or depot is
Yes.
창고.
Yes, it's a storage area. Santa right now is at his depot packing the presents onto the sleigh to get ready for tomorrow night.
창고라는 의미로 D-E-P-O-T가 있는데요. 이 T는 묵음이에요. 그래서 pot 아니고 그냥 po로 끝납니다. depot or depot. 마지막으로요. restrict라는 표현이 있었습니다.
If we restrict something, we limit something or we forbid it or ban it. In this case, banning the accessories that cause harms to dogs and other animals.
제한할 때 뭔가를 통제하는 느낌의 그 제한, restrict 한다라고 얘기를 할 수 있습니다. And anything can be restricting. I think clothing can be restricting if it's very tight.
Oh yeah, trust me, when I put on a t-shirt that's too tight, it feels very restrictive.
restrictive. 이렇게 너무 타이트한 옷을 입으면 이것도 약간 숨쉬기 힘들어서 restrictive하다라고 말할 수 있는데요. 그만큼 뭔가 이렇게 통제가 되는 아니면 제한이 되는 느낌을 여기서 restrictive라고 말해요. restrict 자체는 제한하다입니다. Alright, well that's it for today's expressions from the headlines. 모닝 헤드라인 expressions는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣기 하실 수 있습니다.